Hi guys, I'm Gasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome as always to our coffee times to discuss horror and movies. And today, as you can see by my happy face, I'm here to talk about Saw 10. It finally dropped here in the Netherlands. For all of you that don't know, it did not release in the Netherlands until the 19th of October. So I finally was able to go and watch it. And I'm here to tell you what I thought about it.
It's coffee time!
It's so funny to me because I feel like this has been one of the most expected Saw sequels in a very long time, and I saw quite opposite opinions on the internet, but the majority of people were enjoying the film, saying that, Saw was back, that it was really good, and I thought for a second maybe it was just because the traps were supposed to be really gory and that is what people wanted. But I was not expected to be confronted with this type of script, let's say, and I'm here to tell you everything that I thought about the movie. As always, spoiler free for you guys. Let's go into it. Saw 10 was directed by Kevin Grutard, who is a well-known name in the Saw franchise. He has edited some of the movies and he even directed also some of them. So he had previously directed Saw 6, which is one of my favorite sequels. And then we had Saw 7 officially, I guess, which is Saw 3D that came out in 2010. But like I said, he's been really involved with the franchise. He really knows the story. He really knows the characters. So I was excited to see what he had to say in the new movie, especially after being so disappointed myself personally with Spiral. I was really craving another good Saw movie. Now, leading up to Saw 10, I ended up rewatching the whole franchise, including even like the short that James Wan and Lee Whannell did to pitch the movie. So I have seen everything to this point. And then I went to see Saw 10, and I think that helped me also a lot to understand how Kevin really went back to the basics, and that is what made this movie so popular. The film is the 10th installment in the franchise, but it serves as a sequel to Saw and also as a prequel to Saw 2. So basically this movie is in between Saw and Saw 2, so you could consider this Saw 1.5. Hoping for a miraculous cure, John Kramer travels to Mexico for a risky and experimental medical procedure not approved by the FDA, but things do not go quite as he expected. Jigsaw decides to use this as an opportunity, and with a newfound purpose, he goes back to design and create ingenious traps to give the people that have wronged him a choice. Live or die, make your choice. Let's get straight to business. Let's get straight to the reason why this movie worked really well. And that is because there is something from the Saw franchise that everybody wants to see, and that is John Kramer. I have always said that it was a mistake to kill him off so early in the franchise because everybody just wanted to see him. So after those movies, those very first movies when he died, they have had to use flashbacks and utilize any elements that they could in order to make him come back to the movies because everybody just wanted to see Jigsaw. And this movie is basically the character story that he deserved. I know that a lot of people never really connected to the reasons why Jigsaw was putting people into traps, which, theoretically they are tests, not traps. He is testing them, but I've always understood his reasoning. I've always been a little bit on his side. He is someone that is faced with the reality that his life is gonna end sooner than later, and he keeps seeing people in the world that are throwing away their lives, that are doing the most evil things, and they're not being punished, and they are not even like cherishing life. And he wants to make them understand that life is a privilege, every day is a privilege, and he wants them to make the best out of their lives. So he puts them in tests. I would agree, they are not very friendly tests, but it's kind of like a wake-up call for them. And I feel like if you've never connected to John Kramer, at a personal level or understood his reasons, I feel like this movie is gonna help you understand him a lot more, understand why he's doing what he's doing. And this is a movie where you are going to find yourself rooting for him. And I feel like a lot of people are gonna have this sentiment, even people that were against him in the other movies or never really understood why he was being so cruel. I think if you watch this one, you're really going to sympathize with him. In this movie, he is the protagonist. This is his story. Forget about Jigsaw. This is his story, and I love that this is truly a chapter in which we get to see basically Jigsaw throughout the whole film. We get to follow him around, we get to get really into his mind, and he has never been this human before. Another thing that I love when it comes to the characters was the relationship between Jigsaw and Amanda. It's something that a lot of people have always loved in this franchise, is to see Jigsaw and Amanda, and you get to see them again connecting. You know, you see the connection, you see that Jigsaw is a mentor for Amanda. He's kind of preparing her to take over the business when he's no longer there, because he knows that he's gonna die soon. And in this movie, that connection is just so beautiful. Like, I really love to see them together in this movie. I would say it's the best when it comes to see them together and the relationship. It might be because obviously the actors have known each other for a long time now, and the connection that they have might transcend the screen. There's something about the relationship in this movie that truly made it feel real, and I loved to see them together in this movie. The looks of the movie are true to a Saw film, I think, from the colors, from the color grading, this grittiness that the movie has, from the editing, everything makes it like a true Saw film. I know they might have overdone a little bit the yellow filter in Mexico, but I also feel like they were trying to make this movie feel like early 2000s because it's supposed to be between Saw and Saw 2. So they were kind of looking for that aesthetic as well. And honestly, that didn't bother me at all. The setups for previous Saw films often have been messy or difficult to follow, but this one is just simple. Some of the other sequels were also a little bit too incoherent. Some of the Saw movies can become a little bit messy when it comes to timelines and flashbacks, and some of them didn't work that well. And every Saw movie has a twist. You know there's a twist coming, you know there's something that's gonna be revealed, and once that twist happens and the audience is aware of what just happened, then the majority of the times you get like a sequence of flashbacks letting you know everything that happened, how it happened, to lead us to the current situation that we have at hand at the moment. And that's always been one of my favorite parts of the Saw movies, because I love to see the reveal, and not just like a twist. Like, I want to see the reveal of how everything was prepared, was done, was calculated. Like, that really is something that I've always loved to see, and I think they did a good job with this one as well, to be fair, even though in this movie I would say that Jigsaw took probably more risks than he should have. But as John Kramer says multiple times in the film, you know, things are gonna turn out the way they are supposed to turn out, so I guess he didn't mind taking the risks because he knew at the end of the day things were gonna turn out as they were supposed to. But I did enjoy the reveal and everything in this film as well. Talking about the horror in the movie, of course we have to talk about the traps or tests. And I have to say these have been some of the most thought through test, because it's not just like, oh, you've done something wrong, I'm gonna put you on a test. Like, there is a lot of thought put into this test and a lot of attention to detail. These tests have been prepared for every specific individual in this movie, and they are related to what they have done wrong in life and the reason why they're there in that room being tortured, you could say. And I love to see that. There are so many elements connecting the tests to what they have done, that I love to see that. And what I loved about this test is that I think for the very first time I was 100% hoping for these people to die. And that is because there is so much attention paid to character development and showing us who these people are and why they are here. And it's the first time that they have done something so bad and we all understand what they have done is so morally wrong that we really want them to suffer. Like, I don't think I've ever wanted people to suffer as much as I have in this Saw installment. And that is a big difference between this movie and other Saw installments, because in other Saw movies, I felt like, you know, you didn't really care so much about these people, about what they've done. It's briefly explained most of the time. You don't really get to feel anything for these people. They're just put in a trap, they're just being tortured, they have to go through the test, and that's it. And I felt like this time you cared. You cared about Jigsaw a lot, and you cared about these people being tortured because of the evil things that they had done. And even though Jigsaw is in Mexico, there is this abandoned medical facility that he has access to, and that is what he uses to build these traps slash tests. And I love to see how they did that. I felt this movie felt so real. It felt a lot more grounded in reality than the other Saw installments, and it made it so human. I think, you know, this is potentially one of the best Saw movies that we have seen, and that is because the script was so good, it was so tight. It has one of the best scripts for sure. And not only that, but Jigsaw is actually present when these people are going through their tests. He's there in person, not just looking through a camera, not like sending a minion to check for him. Like, he's actually there in the room, overseeing everything, and that makes it even more personal, which it is, because these victims is something personal to him. Now, many people have said Saw 10 is the goriest of the whole franchise. I don't know if I would go as far as say this is the goriest one. It does have, I think, especially, I guess, the second test that you get to see in the movie is probably one of the goriest ones we've seen. It's quite disgusting. But we don't have to forget about other tests like the pendulum, which was quite intense and quite graphic. I understand why many people consider this movie quite gory and disturbing, and some people have even said that this was Terrifier level. Don't get me wrong, this was quite intense when it comes to the gore, but I don't think that they can surpass Terrifier. Just putting it out there. I also actually rewatched Terrifier the other night, and I confirmed to myself that Terrifier is quite more gory and disgusting. But if you have a sensitive stomach, this one might kind of test your boundaries. That's something that I can say. I feel like maybe some people think this is the goriest one of all of them because it feels personal and it feels human. That's kind of the whole thing of this movie. It just feels real. And I guess that also gives people that feeling of this is messed up, this is disgusting, which it is. But I don't know if I would say it's the goriest of all of them. I have given this movie a 4 out of 5. I think this has been one of the best Saw movies. I'm gonna be uploading a ranking really soon of all the 10 movies and let you guys know why I put them where I have put them in my ranking. But this is a movie that was so needed, that every fan of the franchise really wanted. All we have loved from the very beginning is Jigsaw, John Kramer, his story. We wanted to know more. And all of those, you know, sequels with flashbacks and short moments where we would see him, those did not satisfy us. And I feel like this movie was made for the fans of Jigsaw and John Kramer. And it is truly such a good movie, has such a good script. Everything is justified in this movie. You will get to understand why Jigsaw is doing this. You will be actually rooting for him. It feels real. It feels human. And the tests are so exciting because they are truly targeted to each victim, specially made for them. And it is also quite gory. I feel like this movie managed to do two things really well, which is to go back to the essence of the franchise and bring it back, but also kind of do something different with it. And the way those things merged gave us such a fantastic movie. So I feel like this movie is going to be perfect for both people that love the franchise from the very beginning and people that maybe are even new to the franchise. And if you've never seen a Saw movie before, you can still go and watch this one, and you will not have the same understanding that people like me have, but you could still watch it and enjoy it. So these were my spoiler-free thoughts on Saw 10. Let me know down below if you watched it. Let me know if you are a fan of the franchise and which are your favorite movies from the franchise. I will be uploading my ranking hopefully later this week. Thank you guys as always so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next coffee time. Bye!